Hannibal Barca, Rome's greatest enemy. Beginning in 218 before Christ, he ravaged the Roman countryside and laid waste to its cities. He single-handedly slew 70,000 Roman legionnaires, comprised exclusively of patricians. For centuries, the name of Hannibal struck absolute terror into the Romans. Alas, our language evolved not from Phoenician, but Latin, because of the great Roman general Scipio Africanus. After 17 years of unmatched success against the Romans, Hannibal's army was utterly smashed by Scipio's legions in Carthage at the Battle of Zama. Carthage would never again fight Roman supremacy in the Mediterranean, and would itself be razed 50 years later. However, this is not the end of our great general. After being defeated, Hannibal entered into a political career for the next 7 years in Carthage. However, Hannibal, the devil himself, did not please the Romans by accruing so much political power. So, in 195 BC, the Carthaginian Senate, itself a ripoff of Rome's, moved against Hannibal in collaboration with their new Roman overlords. Sensing the end nigh, Hannibal went into a voluntary exile and fled east. He traveled until he arrived at the court of Seleucid king Antiochus III the Great. Now, the Seleucid Empire was just the Persian Empire, but they spoke Greek instead. Thank you, Alexander. But this is not the matter at hand. Hannibal remained in the court of Antiochus, serving as an advisor and friend to the king. In this role, he, as Rome's very own Satan, prodded the king into provoking the Romans by expanding Antiochus's sphere of influence over the Greek city-states. The Romans immediately sent an envoy to the Seleucid king, with none other than Scipio Africanus among them. Now, we must provide some biography for this greatest of Romans. He was Caesar before Caesar. He was Rome's very own Douglas MacArthur, every bit as flamboyant, rocking scandalously long hair, and defeating the great Hannibal at only 33 years old. He was preeminent among Romans until endless political machinations caused him to forsake public life and retire peacefully to his farm. Scipio Africanus was the quintessential Roman, his personality larger than life. He was the greatest commander of his generation, and did it all for the glory of Rome. Unlike Caesar and his ilk, Scipio Africanus retired to the farm, the bedrock of Roman society, and lived out his days tending his crops, never seeking ultimate power for himself, but living as a servant to the state, and being the greatest embodiment of Roman republican virtue in its history. Now, it is a great gift of history that we've received the record of the two generals' epic battle at Zama. However, this was not the last time the pair met. After its arrival in Ephesus, the envoy sent by Rome to confront Antiochus was treated to a dinner banquet by the king before beginning diplomacy. It was here that Scipio Africanus spied Hannibal himself and struck up a conversation. The two generals did not grant us another clashing of swords, but instead a battle of words. Livy recounts. Africanus asks, "Who, in your opinion, was the greatest general?" Hannibal replied, "Alexander, the king of the Macedonians, because, with a small force, he had routed armies innumerable, and because he had traversed the most distant regions, even to see which transcended human hopes." Who would you rank second? Pyrrhus. He had been the first to teach the art of castramentation. Besides, no one had chosen his ground or placed his troops more discriminatingly. He possessed also the art of winning men over to him, so that the Italian peoples preferred the lordship of a foreign king to that of the Roman people, so long the master in that land. Who do you consider third? without hesitation, to myself, for when I was a young man, I conquered Spain, and crossed the Alps with an army, the first after Hercules. I invaded Italy, and struck terror into you all, laid waste to 400 of your towns, and often put your city in extreme peril. All this time, receiving neither money nor reinforcements from Carthage. Laughing, Scipio replied, "What would you say if you had defeated me?" "Then, beyond doubt, I should place myself both before Alexander and before Pyrrhus and before all other generals." Livy ends the encounter with this. This response, with the unexpected turn given it by Punic cleverness, and this unlooked-for kind of flattery, stirred Scipio deeply, because Hannibal had segregated him from all other commanders as one beyond estimation. Now, in one last bit of historic beauty, Scipio died peacefully on his farm in 183 BC, while at the same time, Hannibal, who was trapped in a castle surrounded by Romans, took his own life to avoid capture, leaving the world with these words: "Let us relieve the Romans from the anxiety they have so long experienced, since they think it tries their patience too much to wait for an old man's